Hey guys, this is Pablo with Meditation Amsterdam. In today's video, I want to talk about how the very peace that we long for, the subsiding of our overthinking, the respite from anxiety and worry, is hiding behind a very unsuspected place, which is the boredom that we have been trained to dislike so much in our modern society. If you think these are helpful videos, do subscribe to the channel and give us likes in the videos. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I remember being scared of boredom for as long as I have memory. For me, boredom has always felt, or always did feel, like a very eerie, lonely, and a scary place to be. And that was the case for a very, very long time, right? So you may relate to that way of feeling about boredom. And in our society, boredom is considered to be something that is to be avoided at all costs, right? So we are constantly looking for all kinds of input. We are looking for stimulation to make sure that we don't fall into those kind of doldrums of boredom in which you feel like your life is going nowhere and your mind starts to make stories about how do we land in this place or something along those lines, or shouldn't you be more productive, for example. So our relationship to boredom is very toxic and very unwholesome. There was a quote by the late Advaita sage Nisargadatta Maharaj, who said, "Don't get bored with your peace." And what he was pointing at was this idea that boredom is nothing but the face of peace that we fail to recognize when we are encased or identified with the doing part of our selves, or the doing aspect of our being, and the thinking aspect of our being. So if we see ourselves as an entity, or we identify with thinking and doing, then when we are not thinking and not doing, we feel like we are at a loss and trying to find grip somewhere, and boredom feels that way. And what Maharaj was pointing at is that we need to develop a healthy relationship with peace, which at first will actually feel like boredom, and with all the sort of eeriness that boredom brings. When you begin to work on mental cultivation, when you begin to do practices of abiding, working on your breath, but also coming in more direct and peaceful contact with your sense gates, then you are going to realize that boredom is your mind giving you a window in which its activity is subsiding, and perhaps you didn't make any plans, there's nothing to do, and all there is an abiding in your being, which is something that we at first don't like to do. When you go deeply into that, then suddenly your sense fields can become very bright. You can start to become in direct contact with your being and be at peace with that. And the big irony about it is that some of us are for a long time engaged in spiritual practices. We do meditation, we do breath work, you may be doing all kinds of things. But the one thing you want to avoid is doing nothing, right? So the one thing that you keep running away from is that abiding in the empty now, which offers nothing other than what it is, in which there's nothing to do or to avoid. So that coming to terms with is has the taste of boredom and eeriness at first for the mind. not for you, because you know, spoiler alert, you are that emptiness, you are that eeriness, or at least that's one of the aspects of your being, is that empty eeriness. But for the mind, that feels like death. It feels like something to be avoided, because it can't get grip, so it feels like it's dying, right? So there's an aversion towards that eeriness. There's also something to be said about the way modern society now operates. In I think there's a book about dopamine, Dopamine World. The name might come to me in a moment. So there's this book about dopamine, and it speaks about how modern economy is now geared towards giving you dopamine hits. And those dopamine hits would not be monetizable. It would not be a good business idea to give people dopamine hits unless they were seeking that departure and that seeking salvation away from boredom, right? So if you were not trying to run away from yourself all the time, a dopamine salesman would be not doing very good business. But as it turns out, we are all too eager to try and jump away from the eeriness of boredom and the peace that it brings, so that we can feel ourselves, so that we can feel like we're doing something and going somewhere. So you have to be alert for that. It may take time to get used to boredom. You may have to desensitize yourself progressively. So you could start by noticing when you feel like grabbing your phone and looking into social media. And if you do that every 10 minutes, every half an hour or whatever, try to simply notice it at first. Notice the impulse. Notice the somatics that you may be trying to avoid when you do that. And see if you can postpone it for a minute, right? Just a minute. And then you can browse in the usual way. And the next time you get the craving to pick up your phone again, just notice it again and sit with the discomfort that you were trying to run away from, and just progressively turn that around little by little, so that you start to become acquainted with what is it that I'm trying to not feel? What is it that I'm trying to run away from? Why is it that I'm getting bored with peace? There's also something to be said about having a clean nervous system, in the sense that with all the trauma that is around nowadays, there's probably things flaring up whenever you're quiet, and you just don't want to feel them. So there may have to be substantial work done in the shape of trauma release, but also just a daily mindfulness routine, embodiment routine, that eventually cleans your system out, so that when you sit and do nothing, you feel completely at peace, as opposed to getting hit in the face with all the unresolved stuff that you have and that you're carrying in your own system. So I think that's pretty much the message from today. I feel super uneasy about not being able to give you the name of the book. If I can spot it in 15 seconds in my little library here, I might try, and I can't spot it that quickly. I'm terribly sorry. I might punch it in the video description, just to make sure I close that loop. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more as usual. Cheers. Bye.